Welcome back to part 7 of my brain collapsed into my spine and I almost died due to medical negligence. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I'm glad that you're back. When I left you last, I had just arrived at Mary Free Bed and was on my way up to my room. This is the first that I had been in a wheelchair that I had to kind of take pause for a moment to realize that this was my new home. Sitting in that chair was now how I was going to navigate life at this point. For all I knew, this is how I was going to navigate life from this point moving forward. That was a little overwhelming, but I was still convinced that because I was in this miracle working place, that maybe that would change. But it's still so hard to quiet those monsters in your mind. I got to my room. My mom helps me settle in and get comfortable, unpack my clothes. She had brought me all kinds of stuff because now this is where I was staying and we weren't sure for how long. So she helped me kind of unpack. Really odd feeling. Again, if you've never been to Mary Free Bed or if you've never been to a rehab place, everything is kind of placed strategically, right? So all of the bathroom is accessible for my wheelchair. The closets and things like that are all accessible for my wheelchair. And there was a board on the wall, just like in a hospital room. And I have a picture of that board that I'll include in my next picture post with the next half of my story. And it was not alarming. That's not the right word. It was discouraging, I guess, to look at that board and to see my name and to see the date. I again arrived February 18th, which is just a day after my 32nd birthday. And I'm sitting there on my new 32-year-old bottom, and I look at this board and see that they have put how many people I am as an assist. I used to spot people. I used to do squats. I would do deadlifts. I was a runner. And now, just like I had been feeling this overwhelm recently in the hospital, and even though I am able to kind of get up onto my feet with help, I'm not running literally anywhere. And I need help to even do that. I'm not even allowed to stand up next to my bed by myself. I couldn't if I wanted to. That was a tough pill to swallow because everything was going to change now, right? I'm in rehab. Everything just falls into place now. Everything just happens. My mom leaves and she goes home, and my provider comes in to see me. My nurse comes in and brings me my meds. They show me how to look at my schedule for the next day, and they say, sleep well. And I lay in my bed with all of the lights down, and I cry. My ex-boyfriend is still not existent in this moment. We had just purchased a home while I was laying in a hospital bed in Detroit. My brother actually sold us their home, and I knew that he was in it, and I wasn't. And I'm trapped in this place, and he's not even coming to see me. And here I am with all of this unknown and all of this worry and all of this just tremendous pressure of not knowing what tomorrow was going to bring. So I knew that on my schedule it said that I was going to have PT, and I'm going to have OT, and I'm going to go see speech, and we're going to just tackle this head on. And I should have been so excited for this opportunity, but in turn I felt so much pressure that if I couldn't do it, then what? What happens then if I can't do this? If I don't stand up and I don't take those steps forward, does that mean that everything else falls apart too? Does that mean that I can't parent the way that I have always parented? Does that mean that I can't be an adventure seeker like I had always been? Does that mean that I can't be an athlete the way that I had always been? Does that mean that I am just sitting on the sidelines of life for the rest of forever if I fail? That first night was hard. The next morning I wake up and OT comes in and she knocks on my door and she said, "What's up?" She introduces herself and she says, "Let's get dressed. Where's your stuff?" So I tell her and she's like, "Let's go." So she helps me get into my wheelchair and we go over and I find all of my things and she says, "All right, I'm going to teach you how to get dressed." And it was like, oh, okay. I might need some help. Like my hand doesn't work real well. And she's like, "Okay, well, that's what I'm here for, but I'm going to show you how to do it." So she does. She walks me through learning how to put on my own pants. She shows me how to put on my own underpants. Like I'm a toddler all over again. And I wanted to be embarrassed. I did. I wanted to be uncomfortable. But this woman is just fantastic. And she shows me how to put on my underpants and how to put on my own pants sitting on the edge of this bed. And I get it. And she throws this little tiny celebration for me like I just conquered the world's biggest mountain. And all I did was put on my pants. The same as everybody else, I guess, just with a little help. And she shows me how to brush my teeth. And I'm like, listen, I drool on myself. When I try to brush, it's just, and it's disgusting. And it feels really uncomfortable because I can't even brush my teeth without making a mess. And she's like, listen, we're going to fix that too. Go ahead and lean over that sink. And she shows me how to brush my teeth. And it's these simple, tiny endeavors that in the grand scheme, it's like I was relearning to life. And it was okay. So before it was like I was feeling that pressure from that first night, like I said, but then I'm relearning how to do these things as if I'm a child, but with so much grace from the people that are teaching me that it's not an embarrassment, I suppose is the right word. So she goes about her day. She leaves. I see speech. She comes in. She's like, "You like coffee?" I mean, yeah. Who doesn't like coffee? Silly question. That's a silly question. I have a brain injury. I can do caffeine. I think I could do caffeine. She says, "Let's go. But you're going to have to tell me how to get back." I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I remember laughing at her and going, "Let's start over." She goes, "Oh no, girl, we're going to get that coffee." And sure enough, she helps me. She wheels me downstairs and we go to Big B in the main level of Mary Free Bed. She says, "Okay, where do we go?" So I'm guessing, you guys, I am guessing the best guesses I have ever made, because what happens if we get it wrong? Like, is there a penalty? Do I not get coffee tomorrow? Because that's a real downer. And she kept saying, "Do you remember that picture? Do you remember this thing? So you remember when we turned that corner, you told me that you really liked this thing. So was that this corner?" And she asked me these leading questions that were like, "You know what? You know what, sis? You're right. Yeah, that was this guy. Take a right." So I'm feeling real confident. And we make it back to my room. I'm like, all right. Okay. Then PT comes into my room. And these two women walk in, and I'm a little intimidated because there's two of them. And I'm tired. I am exhausted. My neurofatigue is just winning me over. First woman introduces herself. She says, "Hi, I'm just going to be here. I'm going to be observing. I'm the PT here, but this is my PT assistant. She's learning. She's a student. She's just getting her feet wet." She introduces herself, says, "Tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where do you come from?" So I tell her all about myself, and she says, "Girl, I'm a power lifter." I was like, listen. You were sent to me as a gift. I want to do a squat before I walk out of this place in less time than what they're telling me I'm going to be here. That's what I want to do. And she said, "Girl, you can do it. We're going to do it." We start in the morning. I'm like, okay.